Hi there and welcome to Transmo Trailer Sales. Today we'll be walking you through your 2026 Rpod 171. We are just going to start off the back of the unit. This is where you're going to find your spare tire. And then if you're coming around to the driver's side of the unit, you're going to find your stabilizer jack. You do have one of these at all four corners of the unit. Because of the unit's size, it's very important that you do use them. If you pile too much stuff at the back of the trailer without a tow vehicle connected, you didn't have your stabilizer jacks down, there's a slim chance, but the chance is there that this can tip right back. So the way these works is you're going to hook up your 3/4 inch drive tool to the 3/4 inch drive nut, run this foot down to the ground. Once the foot does contact the ground, just giving another 8 1/4 turns, snug it up. It's going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. In addition to that, these are stabilizing jacks, they're not leveling jacks. Please don't try and use them as so, otherwise you do run the risk of bending them, and the same does go for if you're running them up or down with an impact. A little bit further ahead, you're going to notice this tube here. This tube is where you're going to find your sewer hose. There is a brand new one located inside this compartment here, which is why it's not in here yet. But typically after your first use, that is where you're wanting to store it, just so it keeps the most smell out of the unit. Now, inside this storage compartment, there is a number of different things you are going to find. First of which is going to be that override for the front tongue jack. You got your 3/4 inch stabilizer jack tool, and then of course you got the starter kit. Inside the starter kit comes with a 10-foot sewer hose, 15-foot water hose, and some other miscellaneous goodies, as well as a 15-amp park adapter, which I'll go over once we get to the power area. Down below here, you're going to have your first of 2 drain exits. Take that cap off, your sewer hose will connect right up to it. You got your black valve. This will be the one you want to empty first. This will be your dirtiest water, fill from your toilets, and then you can go ahead with that front one. It's going to work the exact same way. And that's going to be for your gray. You want to do that one last. As it's a little bit cleaner water, it'll just help keep that sewer hose that little bit cleaner. You got your Suburban hot water here. Service port here. Kill on this. Flip this guy open. Power switch. That supplies power to the thermostat inside. If you're leaving the unit for a while, I always recommend turning it off. But if you're out camping, of course, leaving it on. Winterizing this unit runs a little bit differently than your traditional water heater. You're going to want to run antifreeze through it. There's no bypass valves behind it. And if there are, you don't turn them, you do run antifreeze through it. And once you're done your winterization process completely, crack this pressure relief valve, leaving it cracked open for the duration of winter, so that way during those extremely cold winter months here in Manitoba, you give that antifreeze a place to go once it starts expanding. Right here, you get your standard twist lock connection. Just take a note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this side. Click that into place, 8 turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 30-amp plug-in. Most campsites here in Manitoba are going to have that. You plug right on in, you're good to go. But let's say you have the unit at home where your campsite only has 15-amp service, which is your standard household outlet. Again, you got that 50-amp park adapter, but just keep it in mind whenever you are using that, you're not able to run your air conditioner. It's really just to run your fridge and your lights. Whenever you are plugged in, you get that green light telling you have a successful power source. Coming a little bit up ahead, cable satellite plug-in. And then, of course, you come to your city water connection. So if you're at a site with service, you just thread a garden hose in there, turn it on to pressurize all those lines without the needing to run your water pump. But let's say you're out boondocking or your campsite doesn't have water. This is how you can siphon in some fresh water into your fresh tank. And then right down below is going to be the drain for that fresh tank, just removing that plastic cap that'll allow that tank to drain out. You got your furnace exhaust. When your furnace is running, this will be blowing out hot air. So just be mindful of that. You don't want anything too close to it. Right up at the front, battery, that's where that's located. Then you get your disconnect switch with it in the off position like it is now. The batteries are disconnected from the unit. Turn that to the on position, the batteries are now connected to the unit. Underneath here is your standard 20-pound propane tank. Typically, you just twist the knob, lift it open, stick your hand in there counterclockwise like any standard barbecue, opening up the flow of propane to the unit. And if this tank were to go dry, you just have to remove this wing nut right here off there. That would allow you to slide this tank right up. Front tug jack right up at the front. Entryway door, which we'll go over in a second. Black tank flush. So whenever you're using this, very important to read the caution sticker. Whenever you're pushing water into the tank, that you have to make sure that the valve is open and the sewer hose is connected. The reason being, pushing pressure inside the tank, if that pressure's got nowhere to go, it could expand that tank to the point of cracking. So again, very important. You're going to want to use that for any false monitor power readings or odors around the unit. It's just a good idea just to use it every once in a while, just keep things that little bit cleaner. You get this little spray port here, open this down, hot and cold water. You're gonna have an attachment inside this compartment, which is right here, front and center. Stick this inside, twist, locks it into place. Sprayable hot and cold water. Really nice that you get the hot in there even, because a lot of them sometimes don't. It's always a good idea to drain this out when you're done with it. That way it doesn't leak a bunch inside. You're gonna have a few different tools here for the vacuum. This is for the awning to suck onto the side of the trailer. You're just gonna be inside this box here. Now for the best part, get inside, you just take that assist handle, push it up, holding it 90 degrees. That's gonna lock it in place. That will allow you to open up your door. You got your stairs right in front of you, pull those out. Fire extinguisher on your right. Come inside. You got the first light switch, which is gonna turn on a porch light, and then the other light switch turns on the rest of the living space lights. Now this front eating space does also turn into a bed. You're just having to remove the feet from underneath the table, set your tabletop on its desired ledges, and take your back cushion to fill in the center in case you're to have another guest. Now keep in mind, your furnace output is right here. It's going to push all its air out of here. So if you have this folded down into a bed, it can get pretty hot. You might want to get a little fan that you can stick underneath there just to move some air around. That's going to be totally a personal preference thing. Now right up front here, you got this awesome front window. They pretty much thought of it all with this one. You can close that blind, in which case you got a nightshade, or if you open up all these tabs, take these round knobs at the very top. Once all these tabs are out, that'll allow you to push this window out, lock it into place by tightening these, and then you can pull up and you got a bug screen, nice big window in case you're getting a big breeze. Be real nice to cool this off. Now right beside me on my right, you got your main GFI plug for the unit. All the plugs pretty much run through this. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd look. Just make sure that this isn't tripped. Sometimes they can trip for the weirdest reasons. And then you got your monitor panel system. Pushing the button tells you the corresponding level, of course. Water heater, turning that on, supplies power to this guy. And then at that point, pushing this power button, you can turn it up and down to change your desired temperature. As an added safety feature, it's locked to 50 degrees Celsius, just so kids can't scold their hands. But if you push and hold this for about 5 seconds, it will unlock it and allow you to go up another 5 degrees. Hopefully your kids weren't listening, because otherwise you know how to do that. Now, because this is a tankless system, it does work a little bit different than your tanked system. You're probably asking yourself, well, how do I know what temperature I want to set my water to? Basically, you don't want to have to blend any cold in. You just want to have the tap on, and the reason being is because this is a tankless system, it runs the most efficiently when you only have the hot water on. So let's say 50 is too hot for you, turn it down to 47, try it out, and see where you like it. Like I said, the way you're going to know you have the water set perfectly is when you find it comfortable with only the hot on. Power switch to turn that off. Right up top here, you're going to have your Bluetooth, your JBL system here. A speakers for inside, B speakers for outside. Power button. There is no FM AM. You have to make sure you connect this to your phone to have these speakers work. Right up top, you got your solar controller. There's gonna be a bunch of different settings you can go and play around with. I'm gonna recommend going over the owner's manual for that. But we do currently have it set up for basic charging needs. If there's sun hitting the panel outside, there's a charge being applied to the battery. You're gonna wanna make sure you clean that panel off every once in a while just so you keep your charge. Moving this over to the side, this is where you're gonna come to your stove. Now, because this unit is equipped with propane, you got your LP detector located to my left, down over there near the floor. If that guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit and open up some windows and vents to ventilate some things out. Now, because this is a gas stove running off propane, you gotta purge it, and that is the best to do it when you first get to your campsite. So that way, if you try to fire up your water heater or your furnace, those will only try lighting themselves a couple times, because if you turn the system off or disconnect the bottle, it allows air in. Once air makes its way in, it has to be purged out. But whenever you are using the stove, making sure you're safe about it, because it's a gas stove, when you're turning this on, whenever you have the gas valve on, you're going to want to make sure you hear that igniter clicking until it lights, because you don't want to have a buildup of gas and then a combustion, because if you have your face nearby, you're probably going to lose some eyebrows and eyelashes, which again does not sound like fun. So just be safe whenever you're using it. now that that stove is lit, the system is pretty much purged. You should be able to fire everything up pretty much effortlessly. Right down below, you got your microwave, just like home, not much need to show you there. Central vac system, as well as this neat little, that's just to suck up dust, dirt, and grass. It's not to suck up anything sharp. If you want to check to see what your bag status is like, you just have to pull on that, open this guy up. The bag is going to connect front and back. I'll do that after the video. But the bag is located inside there. If you'd like to get set up with some more, again, just contact your parts department. They'd be more than happy to help you out with that. Storage all throughout whenever you're using any of the storage in the unit, just making sure you're mindful of drains, water lines, and things like that. Opening up this door, you get your 2-in-1 bathroom, pretty neat inside of here. Toilet, sink, shower, everything you need, all in one space. Vent lid right above you here. Pulling down on that knob, twisting it clockwise, opens it up. And if you were to open that fully up, you're going to notice we open up straight to the atmosphere. So if it were to start raining, it's probably going to get wet inside of here. Unless, of course, you went with a max air cover. It goes over top of here. It's going to stop rain from getting inside. And then, of course, if you were traveling, you have to make sure you close that. But with that lid cover, you wouldn't have to close it. It's also going to give you a little bit of protection against hail. If you'd like to get set up with that, just contact your parts department. They'll be more than happy to help you out and put together a quote for you. Making sure you lock that back into place. The light switch is just over here. Got your Furrion fridge. Pulling on that to open it up. It is a fridge freezer combo, which is nice. For these little guys, temperature control is over here. Obviously 7 being the coldest setting, 1 being the warmest setting. And then right below this fridge, you do get your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever you have a fuse pop, it'll be on the right. There'll be a little red indicator light. Then whenever a breaker trips, it'll sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. In the back, you get your bed space, plug-ins all around, fire exit, of course, just pull on that red tab, screen pops right out of place, and then that'll allow you to lift up that handle and push out and to hop on out. They give you a little Insta hanger thing here on the wall, which again is kind of cool. You can hang some clothes up if you wanted to. And then last but not least, right on the wall, you got your thermostat. Pushing the power button, pushing and holding the power button turns it to its last setting. In this case, it was fan. You can run that on either a high or low setting, depending on what you prefer. One more time, we'll take it over to dry. That's just a dehumidifying mode. And then you go over to cool. Whenever you're in the cool setting, you can play with your fan setting. If you have it on high or low alone, that means the fan is going to run continuously regardless of what the room is set to. If you change that to A, which is automatic, it creates an on-demand system. So depending on what you have the room set to, in which case we have the room set to 22 and it's currently 32, as soon as the room senses it's at 22 degrees, it'll automatically kill the air conditioner and the fan, so you don't have to let it run all day. It's more efficient. And of course, when you go to fire up your furnace, if you don't have it on the automatic setting and you're on the air conditioner, it's not going to kill that air conditioner when it goes to fire up the furnace. So that's why it is important, and I recommend leaving it on the A. The furnace is going to move all its air through that floor thing I showed you over there, and it does only have one fan speed. The ceiling, of course, is where the air conditioner is going to move its air, and you can close this louver, open it, and that will affect the air flow into here as well. Push and hold the power button again to turn it off. That is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.